Now we got it. Okay.
Okay, Jim, I got it. The notification.
Okay.
I'm ready. It shows me your. Okay. Oh, yeah, I can even hear myself when I see that. I see the screen, so we're good.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
It's working.
we're gonna give some people some time here to get on with us. I love stocks. This is Vegas and Jim. Sorry about the little delay. Like I'm not a computer geek, so I got to try to figure this out on my own. And thought I had it down, but anybody can hear me? Please say hello.
Hello, Jim. I can hear you. And how do I share the link, Jim, if I want to share it with some people?
Just go ahead and copy the link up there on top.
All right. On top of the live stream?
Well, yeah, or wherever your notification is. Here, I'll send you the link here.
All right. Sounds good to me.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. Sounds good. We'll just let some people come on in. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. We'll just wait. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, so we apologize that we're a few minutes late, but, we'll get this thing figured out. So please bear with us while we just wait for a few viewers to come in.
Hello, Michael.
Don't be shy. Come say hi. And we welcome you all. Thank you for spending some time of your day today with us. Okay, so we'll just wait like another minute, and then I think we'll just get started, and whoever can joins. And because we will be here till about 1:15 Eastern Standard Time, just because we started a bit late. So we want to do this for 2 hours today, and hopefully we have enough content to help everyone. And if you have any questions about a stock, feel free to message the information in the YouTube feed, and just put the ticker. And if you have a question in particular, or you just want to know what do you think about the stock, please share the ticker, and certainly we'll look at the charts and we'll just give you our thoughts, and then it's up to you to decide what you are going to do with that particular trade, if you're going to go in or what your plans are.
Yeah, and Vegas, if you have any, if you see any news or anything, you put it in my private
Yeah, I'll
Discord,
send it to you in your private message, and then you can stream that. Yes,
and I'll
for
post.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Okay. So we have a few more viewers. Well, it is a statutory holiday, so a lot of people might not be around, and that's okay. People want to be with their family. That's fine. That's why we're just doing a couple hours.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so if anyone's has any questions, again, this is the opportunity today to ask questions about stocks. This is basically for user engagement. So it's for you. So welcome, everyone. We'll just get started. So who has the first ticker? Anyone have a stock for us to look at? Let's see here. Jim, do you see any? Okay, so welcome to Mr. Patel and Cruzin and Michael DeSola.
Yeah,
Love to see ladies in here.
I'll start
Curtis.
off. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Let's start.
This is kind of how I did it last time when we had a day off from the stock market. I'd let everybody throw one ticker at me, not two or three, just one at a time. And then I'd say like, okay, put your tickers in, and two or three would pop in there, and then I'd say stop, and then we'd go ahead and go through them three, or however many it takes. So first thing I want to talk about is a stock that I like, and I'm going to talk about Cron. And I'm going to show you how I chart it up and how I do things here, and then we'll just move on from there. I'm going to pull up the 1 year's chart, and I've been kind of bullish on this stock. And Vegas and I have been bullish on this stock for about 6 months. So we're getting to a double top. We had that real big breakout here at 1530, about 4 months ago when it got that news that Marlboro was going to start rolling up cigarettes, and then it dipped on down and corrected itself, and we're back on up to that double top. Now I called this thing down here right around $10. Now I just noticed here on a yearly chart that we got us a little golden cross going on. You can see that right here. So I'm going to pull this. I'm going to try to tell you where I think support's going to be on this. I don't want nobody chasing it. So I want to look at the 20-day. And I have a pretty solid support right here, right around $14. So that's where I think it's going to be its low at. I'm still very bullish on it. And then you got this 1442. And that's probably going to be your second support, with your first one right around 1465. So let's see what happens to Cron come tomorrow. I'm expecting a little pullback now that I saw that double top on that yearly chart. And I'm going to show that one more time, and then we're going to start taking these tickers from the audience. You see that 1530? So right around 14. Let's see if we can get a pullback to there and no more than that. And Vegas is going to talk about the fundamentals of the stock that you're going to be talking about, and I'm going to talk about the charts itself. And this is kind of how we do it. So the first one I see on there is going to be ACRS. Am I correct on that? Or AX, is that one?
I think it's ACTS.
Yeah, I want everybody to put them in capital letters. Make sure that you put your tickers in caps. That way we can recognize them easier. And we're going to look at ACTS.
Oh, I've actually not heard of this stock before, so this is gonna
I can't pull
have
it up.
me check it out.
Yeah, it's
Are you
taking
sure
some
it's the
time.
right ticker?
Yeah, I don't know
No,
if it's not pulling
there's
up on my...
Okay, there's ACRS.
Curtis, you want to retype that in capital letters? Or is that ACRS is what you're talking? Yeah, he's talking about ACRS.
Okay, so that is called Aclaris Therapeutics. And what I see, I do see that it's got a new 52-week low, Curtis. And the only thing I kind of like is that it had higher volume than normal in the last 10 trading days. Let me look at this company a little closer. Is there a specific reason? I'm just curious because I always like to know why people like a certain stock. So tell me, why does this stock interest you? And Jim's going to pull up the chart in the meantime. So can you type why you like it? Like, are you looking for a catalyst? Like, what's your reason for liking this stock? Aclaris Therapeutics is the stock we're talking about, everyone. ACRS, mentioned by Curtis. And if I actually look at the volume on the stock, quite interesting that on Friday they had over 1 million shares traded. And that's actually the highest volume since December 27. So that's a little interesting there. So that's why there was a pocket pivot on the stock. But I'm interested, Curtis, what you have to say. about that.
I'm going to be looking at support here right around a double bottom at, I'd say probably around 630. Let me go ahead and I got the wrong chart on here, the wrong tool. This is definitely a 52-week bottom. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of bounced up and was chasing up there to the 50 SMA. So I'm looking at 630 maybe for support. And we had a 595 low. Then I see another little place right here. And as I do this, you can see how I draw up my trend lines and my support levels. So right around 7, then we got another place right here right around 758, and then I can see it running into that 50 SMA at 820. So I'm going to pull, and this has really been sold off. So it's either had some bad news. It did kind of bounce up a little bit when I called out my crystal ball for the bounce in the market. So I'm going to pull up a 20 days chart now and have another look at it, draw a few more trend lines on it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing maybe a support level right here, or resistance right around 731, and also low support right around 602, 612.
So in the meantime, I just want to mention, this company, like, what is it that they do? I mean, they've been around since 2012, and they focus in the dermatologic conditions. So, for example, they look for treatment for skin and hair disorders. And they've got about 200 employees, and that's the line of business they're in. So I don't really see much going on except some serious volume here on the pocket pivot. And Jim did mention the 52-week low. And what are those supports again, Jim? On ACRS?
Its supports on it, it's going to be right around a low support of $6 with maybe a 630 support that it had on Friday when it's pulled back and it bounced up off that 200 SMA on a 5-day chart. So I like to see maybe a little place in here between 618 and 613 pullback for a rebalance. And I see a little resistance right here, right around 641. You can see that right here from where it dipped down and kind of consolidated a little bit. And there's another one right here around 657. So I'm definitely going to keep this on watch. I think it's got a little oversold, and I'm going to look at the 1 minute daily. Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing on this. So first support, 630. Oh, there's a little spot right there I kind of like it. 624. Also, you can write these numbers down. And what I'm looking for is a place that consolidates a little bit for supports and resistances. So I'm going to run this to you one more time. 613 for a low support, around 624 for the first, for the second, and then that 630 is going to be the first. I'd like to see that 630 hold. If not, we're going to go right down here to probably 624 to that 613 channel. And we'll keep this on watch for sure. And the next one we're going to talk about is going to be Icon. We've talked
And
about
who
this one
asked for
before.
Icon?
Uh,
Who's that from?
uh, Everybody slow down on your tickers right now.
I have okay, so Jim, I have the list here. So can I follow? Let's do Icon because I don't know who asked for that one. But let's do Icon. Is it ICON?
Well, maybe it's not.
Okay, I have a list here from all the viewers. So
Okay.
can we do MRNS from James, please?
Yeah.
MRNS. So you guys know Jim loves crystal ball. He would have liked that website from the recent ticker. Okay, so MRNS. Well, interesting volume there on Marinus Pharmaceutical. And I got to tell you guys, like when I look at a stock, I mean, I don't care if it's a day trade. I always like to look also at the weekly chart. And Jim also likes to look at the yearly. So I like to look at the big picture. I don't just go, okay, let me look at it for the day. Unless it's like there's news on it, that's understandable. But I like to look at the big picture. So with MRNS, I will say that I am seeing a lot of, range contraction on the stock. Um, which to me looks like it wants to continue. I will say I'm not, like, personally for me, I don't love this chart at all. I kind of think it looks like it has a lot of resistance here, but I'm going to let Jim talk about that. But I'm going to tell you guys about the company. And Jim, were you able to pull up the chart there?
Yep.
Okay. So you talk about the stock, and I'm going to find some information on this company.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at a year's chart right here, and you see we have some pretty good little volatility. It pulled back to this 351 area on a yearly. And I'm also looking at my 3 moving averages, which is the 50, the 100, and the 200. We had a little golden cross right here, and it bounced on up. Then we started, for some reason on this day here, it pulled back, and then it kind of held and consolidated and bounced up to a new high right here, right around $10. It broke $10, but it didn't last long. And then for the last 3 months, it's kind of pulled back here. So, I kind of do like this chart in a way because it can pull back to this 291 area for support, with a low support probably right around 270. And I've watched this before. And I'm gonna pull up the 20-day, just take a good look at it. Yeah, it's kind of just consolidating in a channel right now. And I'm gonna pull up the daily, 1 minute. And see, we did have a little bitty consolidated period, or up here around 327 to about 325, and then it pulled back to 321. So I'm going to look at the 10-day. Yeah, I just think it's kind of consolidating right now. You should be able to get a bounce up here to the around 350 level, 347. That's where I'm seeing some resistance, with a support right here, right around 324. This thing likes to move around a little bit, so definitely keep it on watch. Are they into cannabis by any chance?
No,
Because I've seen some
I'll tell you
news.
what they're into. So this company here, by the way, this is another ticker that's out in Pennsylvania. I mean, ACRS is in Pennsylvania, and now MRNS is in Pennsylvania. A lot of biotechs in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it is.
Shocker. So this company here, Marinus Pharma, they're currently doing a couple clinical trials right now. They focused on I think they're into phase 3 right now, with a drug for pediatric epilepsy, and it's called CDKL5. And it's also, you're looking to treat deficiencies in postpartum depression. And they also have a couple other ones that they're in currently phase 2 for treatment, and also, but the one that's in a phase 3 right now is the pediatric epilepsy one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have any dates or timelines as to when we'll get news on that. But that's, the kind of the space that they're in. They deal with postpartum and acute epilepsy treatment and pediatric epilepsy. So
Yeah, I think we talked about this once before, just a little bit ago.
we have. So, okay, well, that's kind of, gives some guidance on, some suggestions on potential supports and the resistance on the chart. So I think we're good with MRNS. We can go on to the next one. Okay, so the next one.
350 is going to be your resistance you're going to look for. The pullback is going to be right around, I would say right around 291 would be your low support on this thing. Maybe a low at 267, but let's see if this curves up here, because that 50 days kind of snugging right on that 50-day right there. Okay, Vegas.
Okay, so the next ticker I want to bring up is BSQR, and that was from Ernesto. So BSQR, let me just see here. BSQR, where are you? So BSQR is B Square Corporation, and I don't really see much information on the stock. Hold on one second. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I had a bit of a delay. So I do want to mention that this company had news not too long ago that, they were doing a collaboration of web services with Amazon to just accelerate the Internet of Things adoption. So what they were doing, So they've got to be you got to understand how to read these PRs too. So B Square picked Amazon to do the web services as as their preferred cloud provider. Okay. And what's going to happen is that both companies will focus on marketing and innovation to allow for the rapid time to value for Internet of Things deployment. So, what they announced was that they're collaborating with Amazon Web Services, which is known as AWS, basically to help meet the increasing demands of the Internet of Things. So this is just all in their PR. They did select Amazon as its preferred cloud provider to also leverage and expand new offerings around their, I guess, suite of services in software designed to improve uptime and performance enterprise of assets. So, that was kind of like the deal that they picked them. And, that was just the commentary from B Square. I didn't see a release from comments from Amazon saying their partnership with B Square. So, but they were named an Amazon AWS web service. So that was kind of the new talk. I'll just turn it to Jim, I guess, really to talk about this chart because is there a possibility for a continuation?
Oh, yeah, we had a nice little breakout last week on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing ran
based
from
on the news.
205 to about 285.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then it pulled back to a support level, which is pretty much a pivot point in this channel. I'm going to magnify this up a little bit. What I do see, though, is that breakout that happened last week, right here, right around 245 was a resistance. You can see where the base of this candle is right here and how it lined up with these other previous highs that we had about 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. So it's playing in a channel right now. If I was going to get into this ticker, I would love to see it pull back to the $2 area for maybe an entry for a low support, probably right around the 190. And I think all this area down here is way oversold area. So if I was thinking about getting in, and I see the 50 SMA, how it touched down right there on that day that it had the breakout, and it run past the 200. And this is on a yearly chart. So the last 3 days it pulled back, and we should see some consolidation for a day or two, and then it bounced back up to that resistance level right there at 245. And that's what it's really got to break, is that 245 area. And I kind of like this stock. I kind of like it. And that's BSQR, and I'm going to keep it on watch.
I just want to comment too on BSQR. I mean, I do think that it did have a pullback, like Jim said, because it had the news, it ran, and then it had a pullback. However, I just want to mention that the actual stock has support at the 50-day. So to me, as long as it stays up over the 50-day, which is $2.04, it's got support. And I think we should continue watching this because it still looks bullish to me. The 200-day, I mean, Jim did talk about resistance at 245. So definitely make a note of that. But if this even went to 266, I mean, 266 is the 200-day. So I think for me, if it holds over this 204 and can continue, even if it's a slow grinder, this is still on a bullish pattern here. So, I don't have a position at all, but definitely we'll keep it on watch because I like the fact that it's holding support here. And we'll definitely keep it on watch for a continuation for sure. Okay. So,
based out of Washington.
It's
based out of Washington. And then did you see that FFHL that Mr. Wang wanted here?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in the order, Jim. I have the list. So we are gonna do FFHL from Michael.
Yep.
So let's do that one. Okay. FFHL.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You do the charts and I got the list. All right. So FFHL. Oops, wrong ticker I brought. I was like, what? This is an expensive stock. I was looking at Fairfax Financial and I'm like, what is going on, Michael, with this one? No, so this one's called Few-Wave Films Holdings. This is, they did have their annual general meeting. This company's out in Beijing, and they're a distributor of plastic films in China. So This is an interesting one here. And let's just, I like to, like I said, I always like to look at the weekly and the monthly and the yearly. So does Jim. To me, this did have a shooting star on Friday. And I'm going to let the chartist Jim, take a look at that and tell us what you think about this one, because I'm not in love. I mean, I do like the action on the stock. Don't get me wrong. I still think it probably could have a move here, but I think the shooting star. What do you think of that, Jim, on this chart?
Well, I can tell it's got a pretty good little spread on each day where it kind of has a pretty good little spread for maybe scalping. We've been in the channel here for the last 5 months, right around 190 up to basically right around 233 area, with a few breakouts beyond that to resistance of 252. I noticed that the 50-day is crossing over the 100 here in the past week and a half, 2 weeks, and it did touch up and hit the 200 SMA on Friday and pulled back that 261. So that's another little resistance that you want to keep an eye out for. You need to probably break past that 200 day on a yearly daily. So I'm going to pull up the 20 day, which I go to next. It's based on an hour time frame. I see it needs a little bit more volume than what it takes for me to probably want to get in it. So I would look for a pullback if I was interested in it, and that would be right around that 206 area. I'm going to pull up one more little chart right here on the daily. See, I don't see much on the daily. It's just the volume's just really not there for me to really want to dive into it. But I do like it that I think China's going to start. They did get a stimulus package, and that's going to help a lot of the economy. I'm going to pull up this 20-day one more time, maybe the 180. I do like how it bounces up and down. That's one thing. If I was going to get into it, your first support, your low support is going to be right at 190, with your second support here at 206. Your first support is going to be right around 224, with your resistance pivot point here, I would say in between at 224 and at 330, 233, with a high resistance of 251. That 251 is what needs to break. We've had, so keep that on watch. A 260 maybe can climb on up if it breaks past that 251, right there around 260. But you can see how choppy it is, and then how it has pretty good band. I want to see what kind of float. Do you know what kind of float it has, Michael?
On which one? The
On
one that we're talking about,
yeah, FFH.
FFHL?
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a look here on FFHL. Well, according to FinViz, it's a low float. I mean, it shows me shares outstanding, 3.32.
Yep.
Shares
So,
in the float,
so
1.13.
yeah, well, that's pretty low. So that's something to keep a good eye out on for volatility. If it bounces up, go ahead and take your profits off of it. I wouldn't want to hold it and swing it. It'd be a scalper play for me. So if it gets down to that 206 area, that's going to be your solid support, right there around 206, and that'd be a nice little entry for you. 190 is going to be oversold. You see what side of the street I'm on? Okay, Vegas, what's next?
Yeah, I'm still taking requests from everyone, so I'm just trying to do them in the order so I don't track of everyone's requests. So don't worry, I'm going to get to you guys. So the next one, Jim, is going to be from Adasola.
Yeah.
KTOV, KTOV. So you guys know
yeah.
KTOV is Israeli ticker because you guys know I like Israeli tickers. And let me just see here on KTOV. Sorry, my phone's ringing. They're innovative pharmaceutical company, and they had an offering. They actually closed the $6 million registered direct offering.
Yep.
So that's a good thing that they did close it. So that's good. So when I look at the KTOV chart, I do see in terms of the weekly that there is, it wants to do something here. It wants to go. But I think we need to see a few more levels of support here before we can actually say, okay, let's take the trade.
Yeah.
So Jim, you talk about that because
It had a
you like
huge
to know
breakout.
those
It's
numbers.
kind of like how it skips up here. We had a low support down there at 56 cents just last month, and we had a yearly high of right here around 381 with a resistance right here around 303. At 303, you can see where the base of this candle is on the daily. I would call that a pretty solid resistance, and that would be definitely, if it bounced up again to that point, I would probably go ahead and sell it. But we did have a bounce on this thing, and I like how this gaps up. You see how we've had three different gap ups, so this thing's really gets excited and then pulls back. So that's what I'm saying. If it breaks up again, you want to consider maybe running it up to about 187 for your 200 SMA. That's about a pivot point. I would say your pivot point on this chart's between, on a yearly, is 203 to 212. That solid resistance right there, that would be what I would call a pivot point with an oversold value down here at 56 cents. And the offering, I guess they needed to raise a little bit of money, which is obvious. And so I would say this thing could pull back to the 113 level. That would be your solid support. I've charted this thing up, so I've kept it pretty much on watch. I'm going to pull up the 20-day. These are in my extended trend line. I mean, this is way out of control right here. So I've been watching this pretty close. Probably flipped it if I go back in my records. But we did have kind of a curl up on Friday, I've noticed. So this thing could probably on its way up to about the 177 level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all these lines and get them out of here because it's just kind of fogging my mind up and start fresh. So I got a low support here at 132, which is pretty solid. Maybe just a little bit low at 128 with a resistance level at about 145. I can see it probably running right up here to about 153. And I think it is on, I think this will kind of turn around a little bit. I'm pretty sure of it just by looking at the chart, because it has, did have that big breakout last week, pulled back. Now it's consolidating, kind of a descending pattern right here. So if it does pull back, it'll pull back to that 117 level. And I'm going to draw a low support right at 111. And this right here, right around that 121. Looks good to me. So I think keep it on watch. There's probably some people that got stuck in it up in here and then didn't take the sell off as it did after hours. Bounced up to resistance level right here, right around 236, with a strong resistance at 216. And I'm just showing you how I draw these charts up and how I see the resistances and the pullbacks. I notice the 50 days crossing down on the 20, so I'm going to pull up the 1 day now. Here after hours, it bounced up. That's a real good sign. So we need to break the 145 resistance. If we can break that 145, we're going to go back up to the other resistances, and that's, write these down on paper, 152, 164 to 169. Yep, 169. And if we can break past that 169, you're going back up to 194, and I would consider maybe a resistance level pretty hard here at that 170 spot. So if you got in it down here, maybe at 133, if it pulls back and holds support, I'd take it probably to about 170 and scale out and take some profit. That's KTOV. I do like this stock. I've had it on watch for quite a while. You can tell by my extended trend lines. Most of them yellow ones are back on back when I erased it, so these are all new. And let's go to the next one.
Okay, so the next one that we have is from Trish, and she actually likes STZ or Z because we have Americans and Canadians here. Jim always makes fun of how I pronounce that letter of the alphabet. So STZ.
STZ.
Yes. And this is Constellation Brands. You know this company, Jim.
Yeah.
They've invested in the marijuana sector, but they are the ones that do the beer, wine, and spirit brands. They've been in business a long time, right?
Yep.
And they own brands like Corona, and they own Robert Davi, They own Svedka Vodka. I mean, this just to name a few. This is a big company started back in 1945 and actually as a wine producer back in New York. So I love New York. So this particular stock, Jim, the reason that Trish liked it, she was actually looking at it from an options perspective. So I would like to get your take actually on terms of the chart, what you see going on. And this will maybe help look at some option calls for tomorrow, potentially, if we can see a bullish pattern forming on STZ, please.
Yeah, this would have been a good crystal ball call back when I called that bottom back at the end of the year last year. I noticed it bounced right back up to that pivot point. Well, see how you had that sell off there on the year's chart. Those last 10 days, man, I was saying, oh, this is going to be a bargain time to start looking for some profits. And they are getting in the marijuana sector. Is that what you said?
Yep.
So they might be spicing some of that wine up with some of these marijuana buds. So we got a resistance here at 166. This is a big dollar ticker too. This would be a great options play. I would consider the little bitty pullback first on it. I do like the yearly chart. This thing was up at 236 at one time and held pretty strong in that little channel up there, and it just got way oversold in the past 2 months, as everything else did. So this is going to be a good call, I would say, call option play. And I'm going to pull up the 20-day just to get a better look at it. That way we can kind of get into the channel that it's playing in.
Mm-hmm.
I would say low support on this stock is going to be right around 158.32. 158.32. We got the 50 crossing up to the 200 almost on a 20-day 1 hour chart. I've got my resistances set here already for this stock, and they look pretty solid to me. Maybe another one right in here, right around 165.48. So I'm going to pull up. You see the channel that I'm talking about, and how you have the rising, ascending channel here in the last 2 weeks, week and a half, from this bottom that it hit at 151.47. Got another little spot there right around 154.57. So if this thing pulls back, let's see if it pulls back to the support level, which is right in this area, around 160, and then we'll take it back on up and start bouncing it on up to that resistance level at 166, 165, somewhere in there. So that's 158 to 160 is support level. Your first sign of resistance is going to be right around 163, which is above that. I think it can carry on up to that 165.55 and then maybe bounce on up a little higher. But I'm definitely bullish on this by looking at the year's chart. I think it got a little oversold, as you can tell. This thing here in a matter of a couple months dropped from 228 all the way down to 150. So that's an $80 difference.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and solid resistance is going to be right around 180.58. That's where you want to try to set your target if you're going out looking at a month or maybe a couple months away. That's 180.58 with your first little resistance at 171. And I'll mark that in red. And anytime you want, you can pause this video when you rewatch it and write down your supports and resistance levels.
So I'm going to look at this as an option trade, probably for tomorrow. I just don't know what the prices are. I'll have to look at what the calls are. But if I look at this, I'll see if there's an option call for like 165, and then go from there. So I don't know what the price is. I don't even know if I'll buy it because I just don't know what the option's going for. But just to remind people too, like Constellation Brands, by the way. Jim, also had, they originally invested in Canopy Growth, which is the ticker CGC.
Oh.
And they invested in that company back in 2017. And then what happened is initially, when they did invest, I think Constellation Brands at the time just thought, we're going to invest in this company. And then they realized that the cannabis-infused beverage business was actually a much wider business than what they thought. So what ended up happening is in late 2018, they actually announced an investment of 4 billion, not million, but $1 billion US in canopy growth. And the CEO of Constellation Brands, Rob Sands, he said that the cannabis space is opening up much more rapidly than what he originally expected, and that their investment in cannabis offers opportunities for the company, both in beverages and beyond. So, this company, Constellation Brands, has given Canopy Growth $4 billion. Like,
It's a
that's
big
a big
deal.
stake of the company. That's not small change. That's a lot of money. So, yeah, there's a lot of money on the table here with this company. So, this is not a joke of a company. It's they put a lot of money on the line here. So, yep. So I'll look at that from an options call tomorrow, and I'll see if it's worthy of the investment. I don't really like to put a lot of money in options personally because options is new to me. I'm really focused on the ones that are cheaper just because I really try to want to help people with smaller accounts. Not to say that if there's an option available here that it's not a good one. It's just I don't really want to put more than a couple $100 in one call because I'd rather get cheaper ones for a lot more value. And we've seen some really great results with that as well. So,
And if any,
but Trish, that was a good one.
yeah, it was. If anybody knows me, I'm real bullish on the cannabis sector. So I've got Cron, and we got InBev, and we've got a bunch of others, CGC, Tillery, and I'm going to add
Yeah.
this one to that sector now that I've seen it. And so I thank you very
Yeah.
much for that ticker. And
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks
going
a
to
lot,
step back just
Trish.
for a second, and I'll be right back, Vegas. Go
Yeah.
ahead and
Okay. That's fine. I'll just, in the meantime, I'll look at the next, which is CYCC, which
oh yeah,
James brought up.
I like that one
And
too. Yep.
CYCC, let me just pull that one up. Just because, you guys know me by now. I like to look at everything. I got to tell you guys, like when I first started trading years ago, almost 4 years ago now, I didn't even like look, I just looked at the ticker and just, traded it. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. And I know sometimes, when you're new, like something, or there's a lot of like fear of missing out sometimes, and you're like, oh, I love this ticker. Oh my God, what's going on? I'm going in. I sometimes just like stop for a second, slow down, take a look at the ticker, take a look at, and kind of decide if you really are going to. Sometimes there's really no news, and then there is news, and then it pops and fades. So you want to sometimes just stop yourself for like even an extra 2 minutes and even just take a look at the weekly chart and see if it's, worthy of your money. So CYCC is Cyclacel Pharmaceuticals. And that stock there, I also like to look at volume. And sometimes I like to trade uncrowded trades because I have taken those in the past where no one really likes the stock. I mean, the chart's good, but there's not a lot of volume. And I don't care because sometimes I swing trade it and I just wait for the, opportunity to come. But CYCC had some, it was looking really good a couple days before, like on Thursday, and then not really crazy with what happened on Friday here. And I think it has to do obviously with this volume. But Jim, you can talk about CYCC, Cyclacel Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to just tell you guys about this actually, obviously another biotech. And, I got to say, I was reading some news. I always like to read. It's one of my hobbies. That biotechs this year is one of the themes on Wall Street. So for those of you, people always like, what's hot this year? So biotech's going to be one of the hot sectors for 2019, as well as the telecommunications sector. And this is just from things I've been reading. Now, this company, Cyclacel, is also in Dundee, Scotland, and also in New Jersey. And they actually develop cancer drugs and treatments for cancer. So I'll just turn it over to you, Jim, now to talk about this chart.
Yep. I'm looking at a year's chart right now, and we've kind of had this little sell-off, like everything else. The last couple of the years of 2018, everything just went, bottoms up. So this thing went down to 51 cents and then it's retraced. And this is what I like about this chart. I like how it's gradually bouncing up and then it had that little pullback to support level here at 67 cents. Now this is a penny stock. On a yearly chart it ran up and it hit that 50 SMA and it pulled on back. So on this one here, I would almost consider this 67 your second solid support. Maybe your first one was right around 74 where it kind of closed at. It closed at 77.11. And I'm going to pull up the 20-day. And I've seen it had a year's high of 193. This is one I used to play a couple years back. I played this one years ago even. And this can go back all the way to, let me look at this time frame here. 10 years ago. I was playing this stock when it was back in 2008, 2009. And it's probably had a couple of splits because I don't remember it ever being at 343. So I'm going to pull this back to the yearly. We've had to sell off in the last couple months and we're starting to retrace up. So it did hit a resistance. That resistance right here was right around 80 cents. And it was starting to pull back a little bit. So if you can get in here right around 66, that would be my ideal maybe for an entry, and scalp it up to the 50 SMA on a yearly daily chart, and maybe get out a little bit sooner, you know, because I use these three as my moving average. I use the 50 SMA, the 100, and the 200 quite a bit. They're wonderful moving average to use on the yearly, daily, and are also great to use on the daily 1 minute. And that's how I determine my supports and resistances. As you see, it pulled back to 75 cents and had a high of up here right around 80. So this would be a scalper play for me. I would consider getting down there at that 65 level that I mentioned earlier. And your low support's right around 60. And then I see a little spot right here that kind of looks intriguing right there at 64. It kind of moves up. There's your 70. So keep a good eye on it. Pull back support level is going to be right around 67. 67, and low support is going to be right around 60. And this would be a scalp for me. I wouldn't swing it. It'd be a scalper play.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to swing this either.
No. But it looks, you know, like one that you could scalp. Especially if the volume picks up on it. And it gets some kind of news, a catalyst or something. Bam. But low support, 60 cents. And next.
Okay, so next is from Eddie. Eddie finally got to there. And Eddie wants to talk about ABBV, which is Abe V Inc.
And what was that again?
ABBV.
ABBV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You guys. So this company here, ABBV, actually, I do like the chart. And just so you know, it's an American publicly traded company, and it's a spinoff of the Abbott Laboratories. And they're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. And let me just see what's the scoop here at this company. They also have a Canadian office too. So they are in Canada as well. And let's just see here. I have to say it did have good support here at the 50-day and at the 20-day. Oops, excuse my dog. He's like a little guard dog sometimes. Sorry. Jim, go ahead. I'll just mute myself for a sec.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the chart. This is really a nice little volatility chart. I mean, it has its good 5-day runs and then pulls back and has bounces up and down, up and down. And then we had a little sell-off here right around 77.50. Year low. And when we bounced right back up off that low of 77.50 there and bounced right back up to the 100 SMA, broke past that 50. And then bounced back down to support level, which is right around 84.73 with a kind of like this spot right in here too. It's 83.56. I kind of like the channels in here. It's got a pretty good wide spread on the channel where it bounces down, and if you can get in support level. And the last time we dipped on down, it bounced above that last support level that we had. I noticed the 50 starting to curl up. That's a good sign. So we got a solid resistance at the 200. The 200 is right about there. And I'd say that would be about the pivot point of this last channel that we had. Your support level on this chart is right around on that pivot point. It's going to be right around 89.19. It's going to be your first support with a pullback to 85. So somewhere in that 85 area, that 85, 84, 85, 50, somewhere around there might be a great entry for a good options play. I would assume this has options on it, and I would safely assume that.
Well, I can check tomorrow. Sometimes some of these tickers don't, but I'll check.
Yeah.
I would swing trade this.
Yep.
I like it. I'm not in it, but I like it for a swing. So I'll actually take a closer look at it, maybe even tomorrow. Good one, Eddie. Okay, you ready for the next one, Jim?
Yep.
All right. So the next one is TTNP, Titan Pharmaceuticals. That was brought by Lynn. Lynn, love women traders. Nice to meet you. So Titan Pharmaceuticals, it's in San Francisco, California, and they focus on treatment of the central nervous system. And they actually underwent an IPO where they raised $9.5 million in gross proceeds back in September 2018. So that's not that long ago.
Nope.
But TTNP, my gosh, I am not in love with this chart, Lynn. I'd love to know what you are interested in. Are you in this trade right now, or were you considering a trade? Can you type in the channel there? I'd be interested to know if you're in it or if you were thinking to get in it. So in the meantime, Jim, you can certainly talk about that chart for TTNP.
Yeah, they had a special filing here for a reverse stock split, a 1 to 3 to 1 to 6 stock split, and that was back on 12/6. So I don't know what the results of that is, but they did have a special meeting to the shareholders. That'd be something you want to read up on. So they want to try to bring the price up for sure, bring it up to that $1 level. And I'm looking at this chart right now, and I've had this on watch, and we've had a pullback on it. Probably when I was watching it, it was right around this area in here. And for the last couple months, we've had a pullback to support level. The low support on this stock is going to be right around 21. You pull up a 20-day. I'd say 21.84 with a low support right around 21.11. I would expect it to probably, looks to me like we've got a little flag working out here, kind of like a pennant flag in a way. So it could bounce back up to resistance, and that'd be right around your 25 area. And you don't want to think real big on these stocks. These are kind of stocks you just want to, when they bounce, you want to get out of them if you're in them. You know, a good scalper stock. And then if the news picks up and it gets better, then you maybe want to swing it. But we did hit a bottom here at 21.11, and we have had some pretty good response off that bottom, which is a couple pennies above that. This is a penny stock, so my first resistance is going to be right around 27 cents. If you can break past that 27, you see it's tried and it just couldn't do it. And then we got another resistance where it tried to break past this 24.47. So this is one I'd play on a pullback, especially if it had volume, and a good catalyst. The stock split's not a good catalyst. It would definitely pull back off that split.
Well, I think I've actually traded this stock, and I haven't opened my platform today, but I'm familiar with the stock, and I'm not in love with this chart right now. I would personally want to see it go to 31 cents first before I even consider a trade. I just want to wait for that 31 cent print. Part of that is also because the support for the 50-day, is at the 30 cent mark. And, I like to trade stocks where there's good support. Sometimes there's good bottom play opportunities, but not interested in bottom plays all the time. I want to get something that's going to move up. So I really want to see 30 cents, 31 cents come into play. There'll probably be some resistance, like Jim said. Even at 35 cents, there'll be resistance. But, I really want to see it break that 30 and hold. I would even watch it, even if it broke 30. I'm not jumping in. I just want to see it hold it and see what it does, before I make a decision to get in here. So that's kind of like how I would like to trade it myself. So I'm going to keep this one on watch. But I'll start watching it when it prints 31 cents. So I'm going to set up my own alert to alert me when it hits 30, and then I'll really watch it a little closer. But I'm not going to take a trade on it. Lynn, they had a good product for, they said, but we don't care. I mean, what we care about is what is the price doing and what's the chart doing, because there's so many great, stocks out there that have so much really good things going on. But, at the end of the day, like, are you going to put your money into a stock that the chart's not that great right now? Like, let's wait and see what they do with all these products they have in the pipeline. And then I guess, from there, then, put your money in. Now, it depends what kind of trader you are. Some might want to invest in a stock and they're loving everything the company's doing. And this is a really good bottom opportunity for them, because the stock did move at one time to, double the price than what it's at now. So if an investor saw this and they liked what the company's doing, then I guess they might consider an investment. But in terms of like a swing trade, day trade, I am not interested in the stock at this time until at least breaks 30 and has to hold. So it just depends like how you're thinking of this. In terms of like your trading strategy. So, there's different strategies that everyone trades and does. So it just depends what works for you.
Yep, it needs a catalyst. And sales beat last time it was out. Sales beat. The sales ain't, $1.6 million beats 100K. So it had real good sales. Earnings per share was 11 cents, up from 20. So that's another, it's that helps. That's from a negative. So it's still a little bit earnings per share is in the negative, but yet it had great sales, and that I like that. I like that about this ticker. That's why it probably bounced up real good back in the time when that sales came out. So if sales is going to come out for the next quarter, I'd be watching this stock. The only thing I don't like about it is the split, the filing for the split. That happened on 12/6. So, yeah, I'm going to keep this one on watch. I think if it pulls back to that support level, then I'm going to look at it one more time, that support level. That support level is right around 2084, and I'm going to raise that up a little bit.
And they also had the offering, Jim, too, right? In September.
No, did they have an offering in September?
In September, yeah. For 5.1 million shares.
So that's probably closed by now, or it should be.
Yeah, they closed it on the 25th, like 5 days later.
Yeah.
For $9.5 million.
So they got a little bit of money in their pocket, too. And with the good sales on it, this could probably rebound. But remind yourself that support level is going to be right around 22.46 with a low of 21.84. You got to break this resistance, and that's going to be right around 24 cents on that day. I'm going to look at the 10-day just one more second here. Yeah, past the 27, that's where I'd start probably getting interested in it. Or if it depends on the volume. It really depends on the volume to me if I want to play this trade or not. If I want to get down here at 121.11. But I'm not fully bullish on it. And that's TTNP.
Okay. All right. Well, it's on my watch list for now, but I won't be touching it for now. But thank you, Lynn, for bringing that to my attention. Next one is GE. GE comes to us from Mr. Happy Entertainment, and he would like to know about GE. So we all know GE. Yeah. I mean,
can I say one more thing?
Yes.
About Lynn, about that stock. I do like the fact that it does fight in that opioid addiction. And if it gets news out, this can probably bounce up some more. So that is a good catalyst. Okay.
Okay.
GE.
So GE, I do like the chart. I think it's still bullish in my opinion. Um, so I actually like the stock. I think it's actually overbought for quite some time. And I do like it from both an options perspective and from a swing trade perspective. And even maybe from a day trade where you might want to just scalp it for the day. So, um, that's just my thoughts on it. We know GE's wild ride. Major volume on here, 92.5 million shares. I mean, every day it's like major volume here. Really good volume though on major volume back on January 7th, 179 million. So we're down to about 92 million. Still good volume though on the stock. So Jim, let's talk about GE because General Electric needs to hopefully revive itself and hopefully survive here in this what's happening.
Yeah, and I called this thing bullish when it was down here around 677. You can see on this
Mm-hmm.
chart, I called it in the room. I told people, this the news came out, it had an upgrade, and I liked that news, and that was on this day. And then it's done nothing but bounced on up and hit a resistance here, just a little bit under $9. Then we had a pullback to that 854, and it bounced back up, and then it consolidated at that $9. Then we had that little breakout here in the past 2 days, as you can see on the chart. So I kind of called resistance on it, and I told everybody go ahead and take your profit on it last week. We had some options traders that traded this on the options on the way up. They thought it was going to get to 10. I think 10 is going to be kind of difficult for GE for right now because it's had a good solid bounce. So I'm still very bullish on this stock. I'd like to see it pull back to this support level at $9, and it kind of did, and it bounced up a little bit after hours. So you got a little channel here, and if it bounces back in this channel, it's not going to go no lower than 850, 854, and that's right here. I'm going to pull up, and like I said, I called this down here at 677. It's ran all the way up to 925. It's had a good 3-week run, and last week I did call a resistance at it. I was telling people go ahead and pull on out of it and look for a pullback, and that's exactly what happened. It pulled back. Not saying I'm not bearish on it at all. I'm definitely bullish on GE, but I think it just hit a good solid resistance up here right around 1920, and that's where we need to break. If we can break that 1920, we're going to go on up to 10, and 10 is going to be hard too. But then I'm going to pull up, just look at the one. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about? This thing got real oversold for 2 months. And I got in this thing when it was at $18, thinking it was going to run up to $22, and I got stuck in it. And I took about a $400 loss on this trade. And I got out of it way before. I mean, I got out of it when it was at 16, and then it dipped all the way down to my dirty number, which I don't like to talk about much, and that's the 6666. I won't enter a trade when it hits 6666. I'll wait for it to go to 667 before I buy it. But I'm bullish on it. I just want to see it kind of pull back a little bit to support level, and this will hug. And I'm going to repeat it. It will hug the 50 on a 180-day 4-hour chart. Then I'm going to look at the daily one more time, just to look at the daily, being I ain't showed it. And we did pull back. We had a double bottom on it Friday, right around 905, and it did bounce up to 909. So I'm going to keep track on it. I'm not in it right now. I'd like to see it pull back a little bit more before I jump in it and scalp it. This will be a scalper play for me, not a swing trade, not an options trade, because it's too late for me to play the option on it. I would have played it down there at $7 if I wanted to do that. And that's GE. I'm very bullish on it. I just think we've hit a spot where it needs to consolidate and break on up. And I will play a pullback and, 50, 60 cents at a time maybe. Okay, Vegas.
Okay, so I didn't mean to overlook you. Top Trader 007. Let's have a look at CVS. So CVS, as you guys know, they did have news. CVS, obviously the drugstore.
Yep.
And they were having some issues with Walmart, and they finally settled their fight over the cost of filling prescriptions because they were threatening to split up, and they actually did come to apparently some sort of they were thinking that on Monday that Walmart was going to leave the drugstore network of its pharmacy, and that would have affected a lot of people
Yeah, it
whose
would have.
employers have CVS as the administration of drug benefits, as well as the Medicaid enrollees with CVS drug coverage. Anyhow, they finally came to an mutually agreeable solution, and the terms of the deal are not disclosed. They're just pleased to announce that they have reached a fair and equitable terms with CVS that are in the best interest of the customers, which I think is important. And they're glad that our CVS Caremark customers will be able to continue saving money, and that's great. So CVS, Jim, what do you think about that chart?
I like
I like it.
CVS. I like
Mm-hmm.
how this would have been a great crystal ball alert back when I said the market was going to rebound, because the thing just sold off real hard. It went from $80 all the way down to about, oh shoot, right down here at 62.82, and then we had that little breakout Friday, little gap up. So we had a resistance level where it pulled back, which was right around 68.73. Well, let me change that. Get rid of that and fine tune this baby. Yeah, but right around 68.65 would be a good little spot for it to hit resistance. And we had this place up here, which is right around 69.83. This is a pretty easy stock to chart up to find resistances and supports. See how I'm kind of just hitting where the bases of these candles kind of rely on each other. That's where they consolidate. So there's a little spot right there, right around 60 something, 65. Keep putting them in here to where I think we're going to be. Oh yeah, right around 64. Then a low support right around 63, 67. I'm going to keep this on watch for myself. CVS for scalp play and maybe a swing trade. And I'm going to look at the options on it too. See if I can bring this. See if I can bring this up to the resistance level, which is right around 68.62. So that's a $3 bounce right there. And I could say that could happen pretty fast. What you got to do, though, is you got to break this 65.90. You see that? Where we kind of consolidated here. And we can take this back up to 68. And then you got a support level, which was a support level, which is going to be a real hard resistance right at 69.74. So, yeah, this had a little pop on it Friday. And I like this chart. I really do. I think you can get a couple dollar trade out of this one, especially if it pulls back to support level, which is at 64.63. And I'm pointing that out right here at the bottom base of that candle that happened on a daily last Friday. Pull up the 20-day now. Look at it real fast. Beautiful. I mean, this is a beautiful 20-day chart. We hit a little pivot point, resistance right here at 65.90. It's going to make up its mind. Once it makes up its mind and pulls back maybe or goes forward, you can hit these other resistance levels with a high of 69.76 on a 20-day, and I see it happening again. So I'm bullish on CVS.
Okay, so next one that we have is from James, and we're going to talk about LYG, Lloyd's Banking Group. And you know what? I love this chart.
Yeah, so I think I got this bullish too.
Definitely. And I like this one, overbought. I like the spinning top. I like that it's constantly going up, up, up. Like every day just goes higher, higher, and higher. And this is, kind of like what you guys want to see when you're trading a stock. Like you want to basically trade a stock that's had a pullback. It's had a pullback, as you guys can see, before the new year. And as you can see, though, it's recovered and it keeps going higher, 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 and higher. So I really like that. And I actually like it for a swing trade as well. So I'm definitely going to put this on my list for tomorrow, and might look to take a position here on LYG, Lloyd's Banking Group.
Yep, I've been bullish on this stock myself. This has had a nice little 20-day breakout from that low down here at 243 on the yearly chart with a 421 high. And it's sold off. But look at these little bounces you could have got out of this stock here. And it pulled back to support level right here. I'd say the yearly pivot point on this is right around 326, 324 area, right in here. So I'd like to see the 50-day curl up a little bit to get back in it, or I'd play a pullback on it. I don't think I would chase it right now. I would have to probably sit here and watch because we called this out when it was down here at 268. A little bit lower than that, I think, even. I'm trying to see a little support level right here around 262. So there's a little channel that needs to be played. And if it breaks past this $3 mark, you can go up to the next resistance levels. And that's in this other channel right here between 3 and 324. So yeah, I think we kind of missed the boat in a way. I'd like to see it pull back to about this 278 area, 276, and get back in it with your first support at 286. That's LYG, and I've been calling this out. So at a point now where we need to probably consolidate a little bit, then break it up to the next channel, and that resistance will be right around 324 to 326. You can see what I'm talking about. But this has been oversold. And next, that was LYG.
Yeah, so can we just go to Matt's play on staff? And staff I've been bullish on for actually quite some time. It did have a nice run because we had this back at I think it was $1.63, Jim.
Yep.
And a couple videos ago.
Yep.
And I think this was around January. Honestly, I think it was January 4th, 5th. We did a video on January 6th, and Jim said, as long as it holds 163, the stock's bullish. And I said, I know the volume was low, but I kind of saw a bullish pattern here. And lo and behold, the stock went all the way up to as high as 256 on January 16. Now, if you guys look at the volume, which I like to look at volume, it kept, it was really quiet, and then slowly around January 11 kept accruing volume, and the stock did have a nice little move. I'm still bullish on the stock, though. I mean, I'm kind of happy now that it's pulled back because, the stock closed around 204, still low volume. However, staff to me is still holding very well. The support of the 50-day and the 200-day, and I love this above this 189, which is the 200-day moving average. So not too sure what's happened there with a bit, it had the run, so you can't expect stock to just go on forever and ever and ever. It could have a run, people took profits, but I still like where it's at. I'm very happy with the way the stock's looking. It's had also an inside day. I like the fact that it's got the support at the 50 and the 200. I like the Bollinger Bands are nice and open. I just like the whole thing. I mean, I would personally myself, I'm going to look to swing this again because I did swing it and took profits. But I'm going to put it back on my watch tomorrow because I like it.
Yep. Now, we are in a channel here, and we did call this out when it was down here a little bit lower than this, and it bounced up and hit my resistance at 245, and it kept pretty solid right there. Just barely missed my resistance. And I use the base of the candles, and I want to repeat that to many people. I like the bases. That's where all the mustard is. The oversold and the overbought areas are the wicks of a candle, and if I can line them up, like I did right here, this is on a yearly chart. You see right there, and it just goes on down, and it created a little support right there. And that's the same way with down here. I kind of balance them on out. And some of these might be my extended trend lines, or some of these might be I've just charted up here recently. So we did pull back to a pivot point, to a good support right here at $2. You can see where it tried to break that out here before, and it just couldn't do it. It did break up to that 245, but that's the wick. You know, I'm talking about the base. You've heard that song, All About the Bass.
I love that song.
Yeah. So I think she's talking about someone's butt, but I'm not for sure. But there's the $2 level. That's solid support. It can pull back to this area. A little under $2. I think anywhere under $2, like 180 to 189 would be maybe a good solid support. I can see it right here. It even tried to hit that, and it was resistance, which now I would call a new support at 178. So we got, on this staff, we got two supports. We're at a pivot point right now. It's going to make up its mind what it wants to do. And I think if it pulls back any and consolidates, you'll go ahead and get that retracement back up to $2. And it's going to have to break past the 210 to elevate itself up to the 245 area. But it's always good to get a catalyst of some sort, especially on a pullback like this. But we ended the day with a green candle on Friday. And I'm going to pull up the 20-day and take one more little look at it. We did pull back here to that 190 area that I mentioned earlier. See that? And it just bounced on back up to that 205. So this is going to be a good scalper play for me. I wouldn't swing it like Vegas probably would, because she did swing it and done pretty well on it once it hit that 245 resistance. And it pulled back. It needs a couple days to consolidate. Well, it's consolidating on the way up, which is a very good sign. So any kind of 190 is going to be my low support on this thing. Anything below that, I'll probably, if I get in at 190, I'll probably have to add to it. And I don't recommend that to anybody that trades. I do cost average down on probably most of my trades, but it's only stocks that I like and that I'm involved in. I won't, I'll take my losses if it's any other case. If I'm just running it off a scanner, but if it's something I know and I know the history of it, I'll go ahead and cost average down on it. But I don't recommend it to any trader out there unless you really know what you're doing. And that's staff.
Okay, and just to Jim's point about averaging down, I everyone trades different. So usually I like to I add on the way up. I don't like to add on the way down. But if you know the stock really well and you know what it's doing, then that's different. But I don't average down. So next stock is CANB, Canbiola. This one Trish brought.
Yep.
So thanks Trish on this one too, because this one's marijuana stock. They did have news too not too long ago, but they are located in Fort Lauderdale, my little hometown there that I love. But Canbiola actually had news not too long ago that they purchased Pure Health products and that they're launching Pure Leaf Oil as a consumer brand. And apparently there's a strong demand for this Canbiola. It's an OTC stock. And, they decided to launch Pure Leaf Oil. And what they're going to do is they're going to target retail markets and even donut stores and bakeries, believe it or not. And they're going to sell this oil and also on their e-com platform at very aggressive prices. I don't even know what that means. Like, how expensive can this be? So they finally, the acquisition's completed. They took over Pure Health Products LLC, including the lab and the production facility, which is in Washington, in Seattle, Washington. And they will obviously, there's no third-party vendors or anything. So they feel that this acquisition is a good fit for the company. So we'll see. Jim, what are your thoughts on the OTC stock for CanB?
Well, they like their forecasts. They expect pretty good earnings and pretty good earnings off this CBD oil. Canbad, so I kind of like it. I like it a lot. I'm looking at the chart right now. I'm going to pull up the 1 year daily. But see, it, like I said, about 6 months I've been solid, and ever since they passed the Farm Bill, look at how it's bounced up. When they passed that Farm Bill, it ran up all the way to 13.5, pulled back, kind of bounced up again to resistance level right around, it's 7 cents. And then we've had like an acceleration here till we had another big breakout up here at around 10. This is a penny stock, so you know you're not going to take it to $2-3. You're going to scalp it for 2 or 3 cents. That's the way I look at this stock right now. You know, especially if it pulls back to my moving averages. Now I got a solid support on this stock right now at 518. 518, and I want to magnify this up a little bit. These other three resistances, or these other three lines are resistances, and anything past that will be profit taken. You know, up there to the 7 cent area, and we're pretty close to 7 cents right now. So it's either going to break out or it's going to pull back. But it's had ascending highs, and that's a good sign for this stock here. And the 50-day is above the 100 and the 50 SMA. So I'm going to pull this up to a 20-day chart, and I'll get a better look at it. And if I wanted to trade this stock myself, I'd probably wait for a support level right around here, around the 575 area, before I would maybe think about it. A low support right around the 516. And I'd run it up to about 2 cents and get out of it. Buy, 10,000 shares, maybe 20,000 shares. If people have a small account, and take a 2 cent bounce, and that's a couple $100. I wouldn't go in here and buy 1,000 shares. I would. That's another thing that you got to think about when you're trading stocks, is that your block size. How much can I make? What do I want to make? Be in the now. I want to know. Okay, I want to make $100 a trade. So I do the math, and anything under $10 or 10 cents, I would consider 10,000 shares. And if it was under 5, I would consider maybe 20,000 shares to keep my $1,000 investment no higher than that. That's how I would look at it. And that would be CANB. I'm going to add this to my watch list because along with some of my other pot stocks that I watch. And I might mention them a little bit later, but we've got about 30 minutes left before we're through. So Vegas, you got another one? I like CANB. I want to see it pull back to 575, maybe a low support of 516 before I would consider entering it. But it did run up on the Farm Bill, and that's what the Farm Bill did to a lot of these hemp. So a lot of farmers probably going to start growing. I think they got a big old orchard growing up in New York now. They're going to be putting together for legalization in New York City. What was that? Do you remember that company, Vegas, that we were talking about? Are you there? Looks like she run off. So we got another one you want to talk about here? We talked about staff. We'll talk about CCCL until she gets back. Maybe she got cut off or something. So CCCL. This is a China stock, ceramics. I've had this on watch. Actually, I've called a couple breakouts on this, and I'm fairly bullish on this trade. Low support on this stock is going to be right around 140. Let me see if it's had any latest news here, which is a good catalyst for me to CCCL. Train stock of 19, part of 200,000. Okay, it had a public offering here 2 months ago, and that's probably closed by now. 1.27 million, which is not very big. That don't scare me too much. So they did have to raise some money, which is a good thing sometimes. We'll look at the chart here on the yearly, daily. Everybody can hear me, right? I want to make sure we didn't have a malfunction. It has earnings tomorrow. That's another good deal there. So let me pull it up one more time here. I think if the earnings are good, usually you buy on rumor and sell on news. So if this thing pulls back to about 166, that'll be a good strong place to get in at it. That'll be your low support. You can see where it bounced and consolidated here and then went ahead and bounced back up to resistance. And a lot of time I want to point out, when a stock has a good breakout and pulls back, the second time it bounces will be a little bit less, kind of like gravity on a ball. where we had this previous high here and it kind of consolidated at 213. So I'm looking at a 20-day chart for 1 hour. We run into that 200 SMA and closed on that Friday. So if this does get earning, I'm still looking at a pullback. I think 166 is going to be your solid support, Eddie. And whoever asked about this one, Gandhi? Is that how you pronounce your name? Can anyone please tell me what you guys do? Yeah, no, we didn't do it. So I'm going to write this down, MMNFF, and I'll look at it here in a second. So keep this one on watch. I think this is broke out of that channel. You see what I'm talking about? And it's kept pretty well strong at low support here at 140. So if it does knife, I would probably play the knife and scalp this baby. CCCL. I like the stock. I like the chart. I like how it's broke out. I just like, these little breakouts are very interesting to me. And then how they pull back and created support.
All right. I think I lost my connection there for a second.
Yeah, that's what we probably figured. I went ahead and done CCCL. Is there anything you like about it, Vegas?
Well, if I have Wi-Fi, I have to do it on my phone now. But,
you do?
See, I don't know why the Wi-Fi on my end. I don't know what's happening here, so I can't even look at anything right now.
Okay.
But the next one, let's see here. We did CCCL from Hitesh, and you said there's earnings tomorrow. Did you guys do? Can we do GNMX from Jason?
No. GM.
No. GN.
Okay.
N like Nancy. MX.
MX. And then we're going to do MMNRR. Or FF.
MMNFF.
Yeah. Okay. GNMX. And I'll pull up the website too and look at it. GNMX. And you get so many alphabetic numbers.
How come Michelle can't hear?
I don't know.
Michelle can't hear you. I can hear you. Michelle, yeah, sometimes I don't know. I'm having problems with my Wi-Fi, so I'm on my phone now.
So here we are on CNMX. We're at a bottom. It's kind of consolidated. Kind of scary little stock right here. I gotta see if we got, we gotta have news.
I can't, are you showing the chart right now?
Yeah, it's gotta have, this one's got positive influenza vaccine data trial. That's good. It warns of revenue shortfall. That's not good. So it's probably gonna be asking for money pretty soon. If it ain't gonna be a offering, I bet you we might see one. But I would have to look up on the files on it. But for the last 15 days, it's just kind of held here. Not a very big range between 21 and we had a high of around 27 cents. So this could be a bottom play, and I'm going to pull up daily 1 minute. Just kind of look at it. I would say support level on this thing is going to be right a little under 20 cents. Right around 1982 with a low support of right around 1951. It's a penny stock, so this is like, you buy enough shares to make you a profit, and then you get on out of it. With a resistance right here, right around 21 to 22 cents. And there you go. GNMX. Keep it on watch. I'd like to play the pullback on this baby and scalp it for a few pennies. And the next one, are you there, Vegas?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep. The next one we're going to look at is going to be...
Okay. It's an OTC one, so we're going to look at MMNFF.
Okay. Let's see what kind of company they are here.
Medman Enterprises.
Yeah. This is another pot stock.
Let me see.
Yep, definitely another pot stock. This looks like I think we talked about this one before.
I don't remember this one.
It's one that they have a cannabis store and they have all kinds of neat stuff in here. They got high CBD oil. This is a marijuana sector stock. It's got stores located all throughout the country that sells the cannabis and stuff. I mean, it's like it's kind of like an Amazon, ain't it? In a way.
I'd have to look at it, but they obviously do marijuana products.
Yep.
I don't know why they call it Men, MEN. What's
Yep.
up with that name?
It just
I don't know.
because the men need some medication.
Yeah.
But I think this had a lot of. I know we've talked about this before. They were affiliate of another company that was a big thing, big wig. They have over 1,000 employees. They're real. They're branded all throughout the country: Arizona, California, Florida, Nevada, New York, Canada.
Yeah. Well, they have obviously 19 licensed facilities. They're in 5 key states. And obviously, they have a growing facility.
Yep.
And obviously, they're a large financial supporter of the marijuana laws. And, obviously, they're looking to get into the retail. They're a leading retail location. They have several dispensaries, like you mentioned, Arizona, California, huge in California.
Yep.
And they have many, many, many locations coming to Florida, Key West, Miami, Orlando, West Palm Beach. They're not open yet, but they're coming. But if you're in Orlando, they do provide delivery. They're also pretty big on Las Vegas, especially on the Strip. They're at the Paradise and Harmon. And in Buffalo, New York, they're there, and Long Island. And also, can you believe this? Right in New York City on Fifth Avenue at Bryant Park. So they're all over the place. Men's all over.
Yeah, I like this stock. I like the company. I like the sector, and I think when earnings come out, they're going to realize, a lot of these companies are need more place to grow the stuff, because a lot of them ran out. That's what happened with Canada stocks up there. They opened up the doors, the floodgates, and they were talking about shortage of cannabis. So I think I like this company. Let's just put it that way. I like the fact that they're all over the country. They're hitting all the states that are legal. California's a big deal. Florida's another big deal. We're down here at the bottom. I'm looking at the charts. I'm looking at a very low support right around 288. 288. And if it goes anything below that, it's going to be a strong buy. It's consolidated at this 306 area, which is another good solid support. We can take this up. This is going to be a good scalper play. It could be a good swing play. I'm sure it's going to go back up to 356 and consolidate, because you see in this little on the year's chart, these couple of humps where it kind of hits it and pulls back. Hits it and pulls back. But this time it pulled back to 306. Anything below that, like I said, the 288 is going to be a very strong buy on this stock. You can run it up to the 50 SMA, which is at resistance, and that's going to be right around the 350 area, 356, and that's where you need it to break. Then you got a gap. And then it'll run up to 367. Then you got just resistance after resistance is looking good. You got a pivot point on the year, and I'm going to chart this in red right here. This is going to be your real strong resistance, and that's going to be your pivot point. And that price level is going to be right at 385. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting scalp play, plus maybe a swing trade for me. I'm going to add this to my challenge count. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually was reading while you were doing all this talking.
Yep.
I was reading about all the different executives in the company. So I kind of get why they called it Med Men. They started obviously as a retail, medical marijuana, and, they've expanded. And the team, I mean, the founder, there's two co-founders. One's Adam Bierman, and then the other guy that works with him is his partner, which is Andrew Modlin. So they probably blended their names together and came up with MedMen. And I guess med meaning medical marijuana.
Yep.
And maybe he took part of his last name and just made it that. But anyways, what I like their executive team because their COO has a lot of experience for high growth companies, and his CEO is Ben Cook, and he used to work at Apple and Sam's Club and Target. So he's definitely has phenomenal experience. And the other gentleman, which is their CFO, Michael Kramer, he also worked with Apple and Forever 21 and Abercrombie and Fitch. So, I mean, very good executives from very big companies that are running, building this business here. So I look forward to hearing more about this company. And I'm actually liking it. So thank you for bringing that one up.
The revenue is up there. I mean, in the millions, 23 million. California alone, 31 million. Revenue increase over 20% quarter to over quarter. So yeah, this could. I'm gonna definitely put this one on watch. I haven't been watching it here lately, but we've talked about this before. The stock.
I haven't seen this one in a while, so I'm definitely going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I do like it because it's down here at the bottom. And if we get down here to right around 288, I'm all in.
Jim's going all in, guys.
That's the oversold area. 306 is solid support. What do you think about that stock yourself? You like it?
Me?
No, them out there.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys think out there. You guys like it?
I like it.
I like it too.
I mean, this thing ran all the way up to it ran all the way up to $7, and we got a discount here. Okay, next.
Well, so we did talk about Cron, so you'll have to replay that. Right?
I might mention Cron one more little time at the end. We got 15 more minutes left.
Okay, so can we talk about Faye, please?
Please.
Feye for Jas Lehman. Asked about Faye. Feye.
Okay. What was the ticker again? Feye?
Oh my God, guys.
Feye?
Feye.
Well, why'd you say please? Okay.
Feye. Fire Eye. I remember this company for a long time. And, this company, they have a lot of things driving. They're into security platforms, which they help protect business communications for corporate networks, including, people that work remotely. And, they are into cybersecurity, by the way. And, cybersecurity is becoming, as you guys know, a bigger problem, but also a company like FireEye is a powerful technology company that really, really is, I think, a leader in cybersecurity. Let's take a look at that chart. Let's see here. FireEye.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing.
I've traded this stock when it was way below the price it's at now.
Yeah.
So it has moved nicely since I've known the stock.
It had a great run. This thing ran up to 2161 high and then had a resistance right around 2035. And it's pulled back. Again, everything got sold off there at the end of the year and then reconsolidated down here at the support level at 1540. and we had a double bottom right there last month, and it bounced up to resistance level of 1691. That pivot point right here is right around 1609. So that's where it needs to make up its mind which way it goes, and it went ahead and hit that. And now I guess I might have had this 1651 as a pivot point at one time on the yearly chart, and I see why I did, because you had these pullbacks right here, and then anything below that was a solid buy, and then you had that bottom right down here about mid-year last year at around 1442. And I'm also think cybersecurity is a very important sector to be in also, especially with what we heard about China here lately. No offense to China, because I love China, but we got a little resistance right here at 1669. So solid support at 1539. I don't want to see a triple bottom. Then you got your other supports right here at 1610. And they've hit the pivot point right around 1649. That's where it needs to make up its mind. It can run on up. It can run on up from there and hit that resistance at 1688. And then bounce on up. But you see the chart. It's pretty volatile. So you just want to wait for your confirmation before you make an entry on this trade here. But I do like it. FEYE. And Vegas Knife, I think I remember this last year doing something too. I'm going to pull up 3 year just to see. Because I think.
Now, you know what?
I like, I mean, I do like the company, but, if someone said to me, you're going to trade the stock, like, would you swing trade it right now? My answer is no. I mean, I don't really like the way the weekly's looking. I need to see it maybe consolidate, and I need confirmation that the stock's going in the right direction now. It's one to watch for me, but I'm not going to trade it. Not yet. I'm not ready to put money in here.
Well, I kind of like the volume on it. I kind of might have a little different aspect about it. I'd want to get in at a pullback support level. And I'm going to look at the yearly. Because, I just like the action on this trade. And we had some real good runs on this here last year at the end of the year. It ran all the way up to $20, and it's pulled back to solid support, 1536. So yes, I kind of like this trade myself. I would.
What did it close at on Friday?
At 1643.
Yeah,
right so
it needs to pull back here.
Support levels right around 608. But
1608?
The base of that daily candle is pretty strong on Friday.
Well, keep it on watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely would if it breaks past the 1649 area, 1650, that's your pivot point on the year. So, that's a resistance. It'll consolidate there for a little bit, and it'll go either way. So you could get a 50-cent scalp on this either way. If it goes down, I would take it back up. And that is FEYE.
Johnny Barasani, I don't understand when you type in Hebrew. I can't read it. I can't read it. So we have a little bit more time. So can we look at Jim?
Yep.
PTOTF from David Storley.
Okay.
PTOTF.
Yep. Thank you, David. And there's another interesting chart too, kind of like the same one I just looked at, but in a different volume area.
Now this one's OTC as well. For those of you that don't know, this is called Patriot One Technologies, right?
Yep.
And this company, Patriot One, that's a nice name actually. I like the name. Let's see here what they're doing here. So they develop and commercialize concealed weapons with radar technology. So they use radar technology, which gives first responders and security personnel time in active threat situations, and they give them offers them detection of concealed threats, typically in public locations. The company started in 2010. And by the way, Canadian company in Burlington, Canada, which is in Ontario.
Sometimes these looking these tickers up gets me sometimes. There we go. I just wanted to take a good look at the website here real fast. Sometimes a website excites me when I'm looking at a stock. I think websites are very important.
I was looking at I'm trying to look at this thing on my phone because I don't know why I'm having an issue at home right now.
Yeah. So PT.
But when I was looking at the stock, ETOTF, it definitely, I mean, it did like the Bollinger Bands, which show me some volatility. It has, the stock's been going up 3 days, 3 days consecutively in a row. And I kind of like the MACD crossover there. But I'll let Jim talk about it because I can't really see the details of this right now just from the phone.
Just on
but it kind of looks like the MACD's turned above the zero line. And I really, I like to trade MACD a lot. And I'm getting more into that, actually. And I like when things are above the zero, so I like that.
Yeah. And I'm finding this is a fairly volatile. This was at 93 cents the middle of last year, back in June. We had a 93-cent low, and it bounced on up to about 125 and pulled back, consolidated, and then we started getting into this little, I would say maybe a little pivot point area at 136 to 142. And then last week we broke out of that pivot point. You see how it broke out? We had this nice little 3 white soldiers right here. In case you don't know what 3 white soldiers is on a daily, 1, 2, 3. And we tried to break above it, but it just couldn't do it, and it pulled on back to the moving averages and right into this 200-day moving average on a yearly daily chart, which created good solid support here at 139. Now I've drawn up about a 136 support level on it, so I ain't too far from that right now. And these averages move around. And the only thing that is a negative sign to me is that the 50-day is kind of hunched down and moving down a little bit. It crossed down over that 100, which means we could have us another little pullback to support. And I bet you it bounces off at 200 if it does at 139. And this would be a good little scalper trade to me, and maybe even a swing trade, but I would consider this a good scalper on a pullback, especially if it hit that 139 level. I'm going to pull up the 20-day, just have a glance at it. I can draw a couple more trend lines of resistance on this now. And I like how this channel's moved up. You see how it's kind of run up on that 100. Now, as the days, the channels change, the moving averages change in different time frames that I put in. Now what I'm seeing on this 50-day is it's snuggling up against this 100, and if I can see that curl up, we're going to go back up here to the other new resistances here around 159, 162. That's going to be a solid support, and it can break on up. We could have some more new highs. So PTOTF, I'm going to keep on watch. I got a 139 entry on this thing for support. 142. So I don't want it to go below that 142. And that's where I may consider an entry on this and try to play this little channel up here to 155 and scalp it. 1,000 shares, I mean, goes up 10 cents, you made you $100 if you have a small account. And that's going to be PTOTF. So we're going to, can we do one more? I think we can, Josie. We're going to do CODX for the last one. We appreciate everybody that joined us today. We would appreciate it if you'd hit our subscribe button and ring our bell and follow us. We're on StockTwits. We're on Twitter. And we do have a private chat room that you're welcome to come join us. for a 2-week free trial. See if you like the atmosphere. Vegas and I are on voice 8 hours a day. Sometimes we take a little bitty break for lunch or a sandwich or some coffee or something, but we love talking to people and expressing our ideas, and we do have a pretty good room with a pretty good team on it. So let's go ahead and take a good look at CODX.
Yeah. So CODX, has, they are obviously they're called CODX because they're called co-diagnostics, and they provide services for diagnostic labs, research institutes all around the globe. And they have different. They also have they have good, very good technology. So they have cutting edge, patent protected products in the diagnostics market. So I do like what they're doing. They also have, the tools that they have are to detect infectious diseases. So they do for liquid biopsy for cancer screening. They also have agricultural applications for certain areas of the industry where pricing's paramount. And, they have a pretty good platform here. But I'll let you talk about that one because I like CODX. They're out, where are they located? They're in Salt Lake City, Utah.
They have a beautiful website. Nice, beautiful colors.
We don't care. We want to know about the chart.
Yeah.
But
Spank.
CODX, I'll tell you, like, if CODX, for me, it's got resistance. It had a nice volume surge. I will say that nice volume surge, last little while. But it had resistance at the 20-day moving average. It actually touched it and pulled back. So I kind of want to see that break, but I'll let Jim talk about this one.
I mean,
Okay.
short term, yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't swing trade this myself at this point. No,
CODX.
not for me.
Well,
Not interested. Nope.
okay, but I would be interested in it. I'd be interested in it if this thing pulls back to about 107. This might be a
Yes.
good little scalper play. It can run up to about a 130 area, which I have as a pretty strong resistance. I've charted this up before and played it and made money on it, especially when it was down here at $1. So anything down here with the 107 area, 106, I would consider anything under that a pretty strong buy. I think you can run it up to your probably your first resistance, which would be right around 118. So from 107 to 118, that's 11-cent profit. That you buy 1,000 shares of it, that's $110 in your pocket, and that's a good solid, actually a solid resistance at 115. So maybe 2,000 shares, and we did close after hours at 123. So I definitely like this chart. I definitely like the company. I like it if it pulls back to that lower support area, right around 107 to 112 in that area. And I'm going to pull up the daily, show you the little bounce it had after hours or into close. I mean, it from 107 all the way up to Friday to 128. So that's a good bounce. And it's got good volume. I like the volume on it. I like the breakout. I like how it pulls back. It has, you want to scalp it. You don't want to get stuck in it. It did pull up, close at 123 after hours. So any pullback on this, it would be, and I've got these I've got these all pretty well charted out pretty good. I've been following this stock pretty much. 107, 112, 115, 117 to 122, 125, and 130. And actually, this 128 is where it needs to break. So pullback support, pretty solid. It's going to be right around 112. Your low support, right around 107. Anything below that's going to be a bargain. Take it up to the resistance levels of 117 to 122, 125, and you got to break the 128 area. I'm going to pull up the year's chart one more time, take one more little glance at it. This sucker was all the way up at 666. It had a high of 573. It had a wonderful breakout last year from 166 all the way to 573 in a matter of a week's time. week 7 days, and we've had a pretty good little sell-off on this thing, and then at the end of December it sold off hard. So it's what I'm seeing in this chart right now is a place where it's starting to regain consciousness. What I mean by that, it's consolidating, and you got a little channel to play it in here from 107 to a high of about 146. So this would be a great scalper stock, and I'm going to keep my eye on it because it went down below my pivot point. And I'm going to put that on my
And
watch list.
also, Jim, the stock had a 13G filing
Oh,
on a couple days ago.
for a patent or what?
No, 13G.
Yeah,
Catalyst.
that's right. Won't you explain what a 13G is real fast?
Well, it's basically when someone takes more than 5% ownership of a stock.
Yep. And that's why they noticed it down here at the low. So they're getting a bargain price on it. This thing will bounce up. Give it time. Give it time. And I do like it. I really do. Something about a patent on here in the UK. We talked about that. That's when it had that little run. We talked about that before. So, yeah, I'm bullish on it. Not 100%, but I'm definitely bullish if it pulls back. And it's going to be a good scalper stock for me for my challenge count. We've got some pretty good stocks today out of these people. And that's what I like about doing this, because you guys help me out too. You add to my watch list, bring up my curiosity. And we do appreciate you out here. And Vegas, you want to close with anything? Or she's had technical difficulty all day today. Or not all day, but she lives up north of us. So I'll give her a few more seconds to get back on here. And there's someone else wanted me to. Oh, Josie, yeah, I like that. Released on January the 18th. So that's a catalyst for it to move on up. Anytime somebody invests a big stake into a company, 5%, you know it's got to be a lot of money. Even at $1 or something, or whatever they invested in it. And I like the fact that it did have that patent, wins a patent, UK patent. I think that's what excited me the last time I got into the stock and traded it. And it did break above it kind of went below my resistance, but a couple of days later, it bounced right above it to 150, a little above 150. And yeah, this could be a good swing trade into the new year if it keeps up for, and I'm going to look at it. Another thing, I'm just going to start option trading in February, so that's going to be a new thing for me to learn. I've been trading for a long time, but I can read these charts, and I think I'm going to do real good in options. I'm looking at Tesla too. Tesla had a big sell-off Friday. It sold off to my support level right around 302. And somebody wanted me to mention Cron. I'm going to mention Cron real fast one more time. Called Cron at $10.15. Cron I'm very bullish on. We had to break this double top Friday. It was at 1530. We hit a high of around 1516, 1520 around there, and it pulled back. So I've been bullish on Cron for every bit of a half a year to a year. It's been on my #1 pot stock watch list. It's the top of my watch list, actually, in CGC, Tillery, InBev, and a couple of these new ones that we're going to be adding in here. Definitely like MMNFF, how it pulled back. So I'm going to pull up this 20-day Cron. Called this thing right down here at 1015. It consolidated down there. And that was right at the end of the year when I said this thing was going to jump. And I got a $20 target on this, but we also have to break this double top. So I'm looking at a pullback no lower, and let me say it again, no lower than $14, with your first resistance right around $14.42 for support. Then you got another one here around $14.65, but if we can get down there at $14.42, I'm going to test it there. If not, we're going to go to that $14 and it's going to bounce on back up. And if anybody watches me chart during the chat room, they know I like to have support at a previous high, and that previous high is right in here at that $14 level. So that's probably where it's going to pull back to and hold. That's going to be a solid support. Anything below that, it's going to be a strong buy. And played off my moving averages. Don't go, huh, Michelle? You just got here a little too late.
Yeah, Michelle, where were you 2 hours ago? Well, you know what, guys? It's been a great YouTube session. I'm sorry, I've had technical issues. I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi. Thank goodness I have a phone. Use my data on the phone, but it's just not as good.
No.
But want to thank everyone for joining us today on the YouTube live session. I know a lot of people messaged and said that they couldn't join because they had plans today. They're enjoying their day off with family, so we understand. And hopefully you'll join us next time. We plan to do a couple more live ones planned in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that, and subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified when we do the live ones, because sometimes we might just surprise you and do a live one. So have a great day, everybody.
This is Vegas and I's first live broadcast that we've done together. I was kind of a little nervous there at first. So, I don't know if it was because of just something new, something different, and it takes me a little bit to get warmed up. So I did get warmed up there after the first half hour or so, and appreciated it.
I think you were just nervous with the technical issues, Jim. You're not nervous to talk to people about charts.
No, that's true. That's
I
true.
think the technical stuff, Jim was concerned because it wasn't working initially when we tried to connect live. So anyways, and that can throw off your day, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
Everything worked out. So thank you again, everybody, and see you tomorrow if you're coming in chat. If you're not in our chat, you're welcome to come by, and we'll see you there. See you tomorrow.
Yep, we do offer 2 weeks free. We're in our logo is I Love Stocks, and we just wish everybody a great trading day tomorrow. And you can follow us on StockTwits. I'm on Twitter. And make sure that anybody that's new, that's been watching here, please subscribe and ring that bell so you can get our updates. Vegas and I do an aftermarket report after every trading day if we can. Takes a couple hours to put one of them together, but we sure love doing it. We want to try to get as much followers as we can on our YouTube channel, so that's important to us. And we wish you all a very happy 2019. My crystal ball is now going away for today, but it'll be back out tomorrow when I'm live on chat with Vegas. And I do appreciate everything she does, and she's been a very big catalyst for my improvement in my trading, and I want to make that perfectly clear. And people like you out there, you make a big difference in my trading too, because I do more homework, and I've created a watch list out of you guys today, and I'm going to be watching it tomorrow, and I might be posting on StockTwits some of these stocks that I do like, and we'll just see how they all turn out. I think they're all interesting. There's a couple of them there that were probably baggers, but most of all, they all look pretty good. And I'm very interested in that MMNFF for a rebound. I think that's going to be a real nice one to watch. And that CODX, I think that's going to be a great scalper stock. Those two are on top of my list for today. And we're going to go ahead and log out of here. Thanks a lot, man and ladies. I love stocks. And we'll probably keep this in our I Love Stocks channel if you ever want to go back and watch it again. Today's date, January the 21st, 2019. And I always want to wish the best to the people out there marching with Martin Luther King. Kind of cold in here in Missouri. I actually marched with him back in the early 1960s or late 1960s with my mom. I was about 6, 7 years old, and I've been to a few marches myself, and just like to see everybody be a little bit more happier and merrier with each other. Quit all this bickering. I love stocks.